Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
You'll be able to keep your health care plan, keep your doctor.
We don't have a domestic spying program.
With more promises expected at this Tuesday's State of the Union address, critics asking if his past makes it impossible to trust any new presidential pledges. Plus,
this is about freedom of speech.
A film festival telling pro-fracking filmmakers to frack off by pulling their movie from the event, why their out-of-control tactics could cost you. And then, super controversy 1 week before the Super Bowl. While all of us are getting sacked with taxes, the NFL doesn't pay a dime in taxes. But don't throw the flag while you should be cheering for the league. Cash it in. The show you can trust starts right now. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Boeing. Welcome to Cashin' In. Our Cashin' In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Michelle Fields, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Jamu Green. Welcome, everybody. You just heard a few examples of President O's broken promises. So Tuesday, the president will deliver his fifth State of the Union address. We've learned that the president will focus on income inequality. So before he makes any new pledges, remember when he promised this.
We can settle for a country where a few people do really, really well and everybody else struggles to get by. Or we can restore an economy where everybody gets a fair shot, everybody does their fair share.
So let me get this straight. If we just become a little more of a fair share economy, income inequality will vanish. Fair enough. Let's see how it's working out 5 years into his grand redistribution plan. Take a look at this. The year before President Obama took office, the income gap was under $160,000, but under Obama, it has jumped to over $170,000. So, Michelle, guess what's happening here? The income gap is actually growing under President Obama.
Yeah, and you know, no one's going to tune in to the State of the Union address because they're tired of these broken promises. I think Americans would rather sit and watch grass grow than listen to another speech from Obama. His greatest achievement for his presidency was Obamacare, and it ended up being a lie, a fraud. People are tired of it. That's why if you look at the polls since November, he has dropped 8 points with the American people when it comes to trustworthiness and honesty, because they know he's just filled with broken promises. It's just a bunch of rhetoric.
Yeah, KG, what about that? Can you trust anything the president's any of the promises he's going to make Tuesday night at the State of the Union?
No, Obama. That is my answer. No. I mean, if he's saying it, my answer is no. Doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't believe it. And all he's trying to do is basically redistribute wealth, take money from the people that are trying to stimulate the economy. He stifles the free market, business regulations. All of these things are things that we need to change fundamentally the direction that this administration is going. And unfortunately, we're stuck with it for the next few years. But the problem is, at least hopefully Congress can do something to try to stop these ideas that he has.
Jimmo, how do you explain a president who has promised to shrink the income inequality gap, yet after 5 years of, I don't know, trillions of dollars, it's actually become wider under President Obama? How do you explain that?
Well, I think we have to look, Eric, first at the fact that income inequality has been growing for the past 4 decades. So I'm glad we're actually saying those two words on this show. It is important to be focusing on it. So, one, that's what the president is doing by talking about it, bringing it to the nation's attention. And the fact that productivity is up, the stock market has bounced back, you know, our percentage growth GDP is off the charts. Yes, we have to focus on the fact that this has not trickled down to the workers.
Jimmo, we just put a full screen up.
And so the president saying that is necessary.
We just put a full screen up. We've spent $2.8 trillion over the last 5 years trying to fix income inequality, and it's going in the wrong direction. Hold on, let me get to Wayne. Wayne, is this just a failed redistribution plan?
Well, Eric, first of all, it's a bad idea to try to make everybody equal. I mean, equality is the opposite of freedom. You know, you've heard me say many times on this show, equality, Americans are enamored with equality and instead of freedom. And the fact of the matter is that the president can't fix it because the economics that he is proposing is not going to fix it. We have got to get back to a free market system. That's the way you raise income. We talked about this about a week ago. The 3 bottom nations in the world in this area are Cuba, North Korea, and Zimbabwe. Why? Because they're totalitarian governments. There is no freedom. That's why they're bad. We have got to have freedom in the economy, and a free economy if you're going to raise everybody's level.
Specifically, the part I'm concerned with, if we look at our graphic again, yeah, sure, the top 5% income is growing, and that's good. The economy's growing, the GDP is growing, stock market's up, that's great. The problem is, with all the money we've spent, KG, the bottom 5% isn't going up slower, it's actually turned down.
Right, and so how does he explain that or justify it? How many other previous presidents is he going to try and lay that carpet under? Give me a break. There's no personal accountability with him or his administration. I haven't heard any new or refreshing ideas that seem to make any sense within any practical business model. In fact, quite the opposite. So that should be alarming. If there was a different president from a different party in office right now, they would be screaming and rioting over those numbers you just stated.
Yeah.
All right, I want to move on. We don't have a ton of time in this, so I want to move on to the other topic that the president is he's expected probably to speak about, and that's his signature health care law. Now, President Obama, remember when he promised this?
What I pledge to do as a candidate and save a typical family an average of $2,500 on their health care costs in the coming years.
Well, guess what? That promise not working out either. Studies show families are paying more for their premiums, like $2,500 more. So, Michelle, it's almost comical where he says $2,500 you'll be saving as a family if you just sign Obamacare into law. Here we are, a couple of years into Obamacare, and we're finding out that same number, $2,500, is right, but it's in the wrong direction.
It's another broken promise. We saw a bunch of people with individual policies have tons of cancellation letters. And the next wave of people we're going to start seeing are people who are going to have their employer insurance canceled. We saw Target, Trader Joe's. That's the next group. And it's, this is just so terrible. Why do people want to listen to this? They're basically tuned out. If you're a Democrat, why are you going to tune into the State of the Union to listen to basically this guy who promised you everything, who made liberalism look stupid? And now, if you're a Republican, why are you going to tune in to listen to this guy blame you for the problems he created? I think people are just tuning out.
All right, Jimmy, what do you expect to hear Tuesday night? I mean, is there anything that you think will surprise us and say, wow, hey, that might actually work?
Well, I expect him to, yet again, call on Congress to act on some of his proposals. With all due respect to Kimberly, as much as I love her, saying that Congress should make sure that they are blocking everything that he's doing, that's exactly why we have not seen progress on income inequality. That's exactly why some of the problems with
Democrats
Obamacare
controlled Congress the first 2 years.
This
they didn't do anything. Why didn't he get stuff passed the first 2 years?
Our founding fathers did not create a kingdom for the head of state. So we have to have participation. We have to have compromise.
All right, let me bring it to Wayne. Wayne, is there anything you're specifically looking to hear? Is there anything that he's going to say that is going to convince you that in the next year or 2 or 3 till he finishes his second term is going to be any better than the last 5?
Well, he might, but I don't expect him to. No, but I'm interested. He's a terrific speaker. I mean, he's able to say things like, if you like your doctor, you're going to be able to keep him. If you like your health care plan, you're going to be able to keep it, period. He's able to, I think he's a remarkable speaker and a remarkable guy, and I think it's very entertaining, so I'm going to look at it, and I want to hear it. Do I think there's an ounce of truth in it? Maybe he wants to. Maybe he's trying. I don't know. He's a guy who thinks that he can accomplish all of this, and he really can't.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Good discussion, everybody. Coming up.